I'd like to welcome everybody to tonight's festivities. The theme of tonight's event is Power in Action. As a Fort Collins native, born and raised, I love everything about this town and the community that builds around us every day. As I was growing up, I never realized that I was actually different until I started school and noticed that I would have to adapt to my surroundings more than they would have to adapt to me at first. From the very young age of 5 years old, my advocacy began with the help of my parents. The first thing they did was fight for me to have simple access on the playground so I could play and be alongside the other children. Their idea was to provide me with an adaptive swing. The school only agreed upon this idea if my parents were willing to purchase this. My parents also had to request that the door handles in the restrooms were made more accessible, and when the school didn't want to install them at first because they assumed that I would just get down on my hands and knees and crawl to open the door, my dad said, "Just wait and see, I'll show up tomorrow with tools and the handrails myself." And they didn't believe him until he actually did that. During this time, my parents consistently came up against kickback from the principal, also telling them things like that I would have to be institutionalized and separated from my siblings at the school because they didn't want to take the time to explain it to anybody else, and it wasn't able to be hidden. They thought it would be too much exposure. I was often labeled as having too much clapback sass, and my dad said that they were just preparing me for a world that wasn't always going to be kind to me. It was through these experiences and what my parents fought for me to have the same rights as other children that I learned that what it meant to be resilient and not be scared into submission or into silence, and to know when and how and where to use my voice appropriately. Fast forward to when I was in high school, and my passion for advocacy would come to the surface once again. As a student in the ACE program at that time, I realized the importance and the need for transportation to be provided for the students to get to and from their vocational internship positions. Through the help and support of my ACE coordinator, Carolyn Dar, who is also here this evening, I wrote a letter on behalf of our program and took it to the principal. And if need be, I was willing to take it all the way to the school board. But I realized through my voice and that single action that we wouldn't need to. The principal took it serious at that point. How strong and powerful one's voice really can be, and realizing that advocacy was sorry, hold on. I got ahead of myself because I actually practiced it so much. So. Where my heart's playing flickered the most was through advocacy. This star then took me to what we now know as the Community Recognitions Awards, but back then it was known as the Mayor's Luncheon. And I was enamored to realize that it was a community of individuals with disabilities and able-bodied folks alike, where our voices could be heard and used for change in the community around us and truly matter. Once again, the Disability Advisory Board would resurface into my world in 2015 when I was an intern at Disabled Resource Services during my BSW program at CSU. I knew right then that I would always come back to this platform, and I was meant to officially be on it when I joined in 2018. It has been an honor and a privilege to be part of such an amazing group for as long as I have been, and I will continue to provide my voice just as I have always done for myself and for those around me. As I am always reminded and tell other folks, in a world where we are often expected to be the one that blends in quietly while wearing blacks, whites, and button-down outfits, always be willing to be the one that stands out loudly and to be colorful and sparkly and unapologetically yourself that shines. Thank you. On behalf of that note, I would like to welcome Mayor Jenny Arndt, Mayor Pro Tem Emily Francis, DAB Liaison Melanie Padiandi, Council Member Susan Katowski, and Council Member Tricia Canonico. Thank you.
Thanks, Mandy. My name is Jenny Arndt. I serve as your mayor of Fort Collins, and it's a pleasure to be here. Tonight I'm going to break two of my rules in speaking, public speaking. One of them is I never read my talking points. I'm going to do that tonight. And the other one is I never talk too much. And I'm going to do that tonight. That's just a warning, because I have a personal story here to talk and share with you. I also never get emotional. It's not a rule, but it's sort of what I do, but I'm probably going to break that one too. So I'll just start with the talking points, and then I'll just add in along the way. Thank you for joining this evening to celebrate individuals who have made Fort Collins and the disability community stronger. 2025 has been a memorable year for people with disabilities in their communities. So when you came in tonight, you did receive a small stone there at your table. These stones represent the ripples of actions that are caused when we work to improve those lives with those with disabilities. So if you know me well, in my casual moments, which are most of 99.9% of my day, I call myself the just-in-time mayor. So I drove up tonight and I thought, oh, better look at the talking points right before I came in. And I looked at them and I thought, oh yeah, so this is completely authentic. I served on the Disability Advisory Board, and I believe it was 2010 when I moved back to Fort Collins in 28. Terry was on there with me. And we got a stone at what Mandy called the mayor's luncheon or whatever. And I was like, oh, time for me to bring that up. And I'm not kidding you, this is the stone I got in 2010 on the advisory board to cause a ripple. And I keep it in my purse every single day. And this morning I changed my purse from my green little topo backpack to my leather backpack. And the first thing I do is transfer the stone that I got from the Disability Advisory Board to cause a ripple. I never go anywhere without it. So I wanted to add that in because I want you to take your stone with you, and I want you to keep it with you for at least the next 15 years and probably beyond. And I'll check on you, I promise. So we're serious when we say cause a ripple. The new energy of the Disability Advisory Board, or the DAB, created ripples to make change in the Fort Collins community through submitting the proclamation in July, declaring the first Disability Pride Month for Fort Collins. A full council chamber celebrated the contributions and importance of people with disabilities. In addition to monthly meetings and committee responsibilities, the Disability Advisory Board members have served in the community tirelessly. And these are just a few examples. They supported the Autistic Joy event, presented training on autistic communication in a neurotypical world, helped with beta testing for the new Transport app, helped with the 50th anniversary Transport video, attended meetings and provided input to large community, gave input regarding expansion of Lincoln Center. That is absolutely critical. When Terry and I were on it, we gave input to the accessibility of the kayak park. And then Fort Collins had the first handicapped accessible kayak park. I'm like, yeah, well, that's because the city of Fort Collins cared enough to come around to board and commissions and ask our opinion. And then they listened to us, and they did it. The new Veteran Support Service with the welcoming ceremony and time at Vietnam Traveling Wall. Run businesses that support employment for the disability community, attend multiple listening sessions regarding upcoming city projects to give input and winning more projects. Tonight, you will hear more about the ripples of kindness that make Fort Collins such a special and caring place for all of us to live. I mean this from the bottom of my heart. This is my professional background, and it's more than a pleasure to be here tonight as your mayor, a former member of the Disability Advisory Board, and before all that happened, I was doing all that work when I had 3 children, and one of them has autism. And he came to grow up. He'll be 30 next month. He moved away for a few years, and he recently moved back, and he said, you know what, Mom? People are nicer to me in Fort Collins. And I think that is the thing that we're looking for when we really mean what does inclusion mean in Fort Collins. Are people more kind and caring in your everyday? And more importantly, do the people who have certain challenges or disabilities feel that love and inclusion? So I want to thank the entire Fort Collins community. Thank you for having me here speaking tonight. Thank you for being on the board and all the people who I support. So now, Mandy, I don't even know what to say next. Who am I introducing next? Oh, I read the proclamation. Okay. See, I told you I was going to get a little flustered because I really mean this. And it's very important. Okay. Are you ready? Okay. Whereas October 2025 marks the 80th anniversary of the National Disability Employment Awareness Month. And whereas the purpose of the National Disability, wait, is that the right one? Yes, okay, I'm sorry. Month is to educate about disability employment issues and celebrate the many and varied contributions of America's workers with disabilities. And whereas the history of the National Disability Employment Awareness Month traces back to 1945, when it started as a week and focused only on people with physical disabilities. Later, it expanded to a full month, and its name and scope evolved to acknowledge the importance of increasing the workforce inclusion of people with all disabilities. And whereas the official theme of this year is celebrating value and talent, that all Americans, including people with disabilities, add to our nation's workplaces and communities, and whereas workplaces welcoming the talents of all people, including people with disabilities, are a critical part of our efforts to build an inclusive community and a strong economy. And whereas activities during this month will reinforce the value and talent people with disabilities add to our workplaces and communities and affirm the City of Fort Collins' commitment to an inclusive community that advances access and equity for all, including individuals with disabilities. Now therefore, I, Jenny Arndt, Mayor of the City of Fort Collins, do hereby proclaim October 2025 as National Disability Employment Awareness Month, and call upon schools and other communities, employers, and other community organizations in Fort Collins to take steps throughout the year to recruit, train, hire, retain, and advance individuals with disabilities, and to work to pursue the goals of opportunity, full participation, economic self-sufficiency, and independent living for people with disabilities. Congratulations. Great. And Cassidy? Thank you for letting me speak tonight.
Thank you. My name is Cassidy Delmonica. I'm going to share a little bit about employment in Fort Collins. Employment gives me a sense of purpose. It connects me to a community. It gives me a sense of pride in what I do throughout my day. It provides me a meaningful way to spend my day. It provides financial support for myself and for my family. What does employment provide for you? This is a question that I've been asking people over the last 20 years of my professional life. Why do we work, and why is it important for everybody to work, regardless of disability? I'm autistic. I live with complex anxiety and PTSD. I'm overqualified for every job I've ever had. Yet, almost every job I've ever had, I've been fired from. Not because I can't do the skills or the tasks, but because some days I show up to work without my mask, without the facade, without the persona, and other people are kind of uncomfortable with that. Other people are kind of uncomfortable whenever I tell the truth or my truth. Other people are kind of not ready for the abrasive tone that I may have when things are bothering me. Other people may not be ready for how I respond whenever people aren't meeting my standards, because they do tend to be higher than others want to work So I apologize regularly for that. And I try to be nicer, and I try to be kinder, and I try to compensate for all of the ways that I am autistic or all of the ways that my anxiety shows up at work. I worked for a nationwide nonprofit supporting people with disabilities, and yet I was fired for being too autistic. That is what they told me. You can't show up at work being this autistic. It's getting in the way of your performance. I was fired from a service provider agency 6 weeks after having my youngest son, in which I almost died during childbirth, and I had to return after 6 weeks because that's what our maternity leave is. And I wasn't capable of working. I wasn't capable of thinking. I wasn't capable of processing. I wasn't capable of writing a complete sentence. Yet I was there at work, struggling to get by, making mistakes, and failing. And they said, "You're going to be let go because your mental health is getting in the way of your performance here at work." We should be able to work in our communities. We should have employers who support us during those times. We should be able to be ourselves in our communities. And yet, that's still a struggle. So in appreciation of this proclamation and that we're celebrating 80 years of people with disabilities working in our communities, there is still so much distance that we still have to go and able to make this a reality for the people in our community. I opened a coffee shop and an ice cream shop because I struggled to get a job, because I struggled to work for other people. My husband and I opened an agency supporting people with disabilities after I was fired the last time and said, I can't do this anymore. I can't work for other people. So I guess I'm going to go help people to get jobs in the community. I'm going to go help and beg businesses to employ these people who I know are totally capable. And yet time after time, I was told, are you sure? Is it safe? Are they able to do this? And I was tired. So we opened our ice cream and coffee shop. I worked on my PhD in family life education. I never planned on owning a restaurant. I've never worked in a restaurant. They're quite stressful. People like me don't work in restaurants. But yet I own one now. And many of you have came to visit us, and our focus is on employing people with disabilities. Not because we wanted to create a special place for our special people to work, but because we were desperate to show our community and show other businesses in this community that it's possible, that all of us can work together through mutual aid and an understanding of a reciprocal relationship. It doesn't matter that one person is able to show up every day and work on task the entire shift, and one person is going to sit on the couch and cry about Taylor Swift and how her fans no longer like her because of her current issues in her life. We're going to work together and we're going to support each other. So whenever one person is crying, the other person's going to work harder. And whenever that person who's working harder that day needs a rest on the next day, then the other person's going to work harder. We're going to support one another in order to complete the goal of the shop. That's what we're doing every day. Hopefully being an example to our community and all of the other businesses in town who told me, no, your people can't work here. It's not safe. I can hire a college student who will work faster and harder. They don't know that the people who work in my shop who have a disability, who have a job coach, are the best employees that we have. They show up on time every day. They work harder than all of the college students. No offense to the college students in the back who work for me. But they work harder consistently throughout the entire shift. They're not talking to each other. They're not, on their phones. They're not taking selfies of themselves at work. They are productive, on-task workers. So everybody else doesn't know the secret that people with disabilities are actually, being in the club, and I think many of you will understand, sometimes we're harder workers because we have to compensate because the world doesn't think that we're good enough. So we are constantly striving and doing better than our peers. The proclamation of the City of Fort Collins is a call to action during National Disability Employment Awareness Month. It's time to live the values we profess. We must support businesses that employ people with disabilities. Challenge agencies that claim to provide jobs but don't pay their workers. People with disabilities deserve to be paid the same as their peers who are working alongside of them. We shouldn't only get tips, or we shouldn't have to work in order to learn the skills. We should get paid while we're doing a job. Go beyond the lip service, talking directly to employers and taking steps to hire inclusivity. Ask the places that you support, the businesses you support, are you hiring people with disabilities? If not, why not? Have you ever worked with an employment service agency to help make that work better for your business? Work with job coaches and support networks to ensure long-term success for both employees and businesses. I know you all know these things. You guys are our supporters. And as we celebrate National Disability Employment Awareness Month today and for the last 80 years, let's take it a step further. Let's ensure together that Fort Collins has access to good, equitable employment and that it is a reality for all. I'd like to ask Jan Reese to come up as our next speaker.
How beautiful was that? Thank you, Cassidy. I am honored and proud to be the person who's going to present the first ever B Award. And so after a lot of conversation, we chose the B Award. If anyone knows about bees, because you're going to say, why bees? It's that bees move around with hardly ever getting noticed by anyone else. They go about their business with great communication, with shared purpose, with a clear division of labor, with flexibility and adaptability, and collective decision-making. So they delegate, and they don't ask questions about what their purpose is or what their task is. They just know that that's what they're supposed to do, and the recognition goes to the Queen Bee. So bees teach us in team management and in our departments. They teach us clear roles, the true value of trust, and mostly resilience. This year's award is honoring 3 separate departments who have vastly improved city services for others when it comes to accessibility. If I could please have the digital accessibility team come forward. Just going to hold this. Our digital accessibility team was created for the House Bill 21-1110, where the state of Colorado asked that all digital information be accessible to all. And so I just started my position and was elected to be the program manager, or delegated to be the program manager. And with that, we decided who we were going to have in each department to try to represent as many individuals and as many sites as we could. Without the help of CPRO, I don't think we could have made it. Without the help of our IT team, who couldn't be here this evening, and with the great leadership of Rupa and Denzel, we not only were recognized at the last AEA conference that I was at as being the lead for Colorado, one of the leaders in Colorado, but we were also recognized for having our information timely. So where the House bill stated that we need to have all digital information accessible by July of this year, we chose as our team not to rush anything and not to miss anything of great importance to others. So we chose to go with HB 1454, which means that it's more work for our team, even though at the ADA conference everybody's like, whoa, what? Colorado gives you a buy? Colorado makes it easier? I'm like, no, it's not easier. We have more steps to follow, which means being transparent, getting our information onto our website, and letting others know what progress we are making. So quarterly, we post, well, I say we by OM, post our information of where we are and drew your own fear. So with that, I would like to say, here's to first the award given to Digital Accessibility Team.
Okay, I'm feeling very ambushed right now that I did not know this was going to happen. I just want to say, first of all, there are a lot of people that represent the digital accessibility team that could not be here this evening. So I do want to acknowledge the hard work of many, many bees from the hive that did a tremendous amount of work. And just for me personally to say it's actually been really fun, a great learning experience. And in some ways, yes, the law sort of drove action, and it forced us to move on things that we already were thinking about and already were moving towards. So in a way, it was good to have that fire lit underneath us to let's do this, let's get this done. So I'm honored to be a part of this team, and I look forward to continuing to make improvements. We'll have a new website by the end of this year, and it's got accessibility built in, so there's going to be a lot of improvements coming forward. So thank you all so much for this.
ADA law that it's like a yardstick, and on the 1-inch line is ADA law that we must comply with and that we must be in full compliance of. And then we have the middle part of our yardstick that are what are really the needs of community members, and how can we get to being ADA compliant to actually helping individuals in the community that have needs. And that's where we meet and accept concerns, or we accept suggestions for better improvement. And then I say at the other end of the yardstick are community wants. And that's our goal as we slowly work on the yardstick. With that yardstick, I bring this up because we have had some concerns from the public where we met ADA compliance, but we wanted to really discuss with partners and departments and ops services of how we could get closer to that needs portion of our yardstick. And that's why our next award goes to ops services, who helped with, and this is a very small acknowledgement of everything you've helped with. They helped with the front City Hall sign that was brought to our attention not to be accessible to someone who is legally blind. They also helped with the ramp, the new ramp at the Lincoln Center, that even though it was ADA compliant, what was the needs of individuals coming to the Lincoln Center? They also helped with the evacuation lift chair that we have in case of emergency here at the Lincoln Center. And they also helped with new push buttons for doors for better accessibility. New ADA seating at the gardens, where cobblestone was removed. So now you can go, anyone can go on there and reserve a place that's accessible to them and bring 2 guests. And lastly, just listening to all of our ideas and then letting us know as part of our transition plan what we could put into action. So I'd like to bring up ops services. These 2 gentlemen are also the ones that initiated our new employee resource group for veterans with the city of Fort Collins. So we are also getting out into the community and having more engagement with veterans.
Thank you. This award means a lot. I mean, like Jan said, we've been in a ADA transition plan for the last 8 years. It's a 15-year plan, and we've really been eager to work through that plan. And of course, it takes funding to make that happen, and that's why it's been a 15-year plan. But we continue to make strides, look at where the big developments or the big changes can happen. So we've really worked on some of the public buildings first, trying to take care of those facilities, but continue to make progress and make strides wherever we can across the community with all of our facilities. So I appreciate this award. Thank you.
For our third award, I'm actually going to introduce Mr. Pat Malloy. Mr. Malloy called in with the concern that he had with transport services, and with Mr. Malloy kindly giving suggestions and allowing us to have time to assist. Well, I don't want to spoil it, so I'll let him share the rest.
Thank you, Jan. When I first called Jan, I wasn't being that nice. I'm blind. I moved to Fort Collins in March of 2024, and in the summer of 2024, through this wonderful lady named Hannah, I learned how to ride the bus. There was a small problem with the bus, though. Though ADA compliant, I found out later from Jan, the bus did not announce every single bus stop. It only announced ones here and there. So what I would do is I would get on the bus, I would take my phone out, I would take a picture of the sign up front, my hand would tremor, or maybe what would happen is the bus was jiggling, it would be blurry, I would take it again. I went back to the representative, Hannah, and I said, what do I do? She said, ask the bus driver. They'll tell you when the stop comes up. So I tried that. The problem was, it's not the bus driver's job to help somebody remember a stop or to state a stop. Later on in the wintertime, I asked a bus driver to holler out a stop. He forgot. I missed my appointment. And that is when I called Jan. And to be super honest, I wasn't all that pleasant that day. I was tired, I was worn out, and I thought, what can I possibly do? What I learned is the ripple effect. I am holding in my hand a stone that is about the size of a peanut. And you would think if you toss this stone in the water, it'll barely make any effect, barely make any ripple. But what Jan and the city of Fort Collins taught me was they're going to listen to that little tiny ripple, and that little tiny ripple is going to change things. Jan invited me to come speak at the ADA Compliance Board. She then introduced me to Eric Patton, who is the Senior ADA Compliance Special for Transport, and I explained to them my problem. Eric said to me, Pat, we are ADA compliant. I'm like, how can you be ADA compliant? I'm blind. I cannot get on and off the bus easily because I don't know where I'm at. After a conversation with him, Eric says to me, Pat, you know what we're going to do? We're going to send an employee, and we're going to put that employee on the bus, and we're going to see what you're talking about. And I'm going to call you in a month. 1 month later, Eric calls me. He says, Pat, we did what we said we were going to do, and I believe he told me they put an employee on that stopped at 65 stops. And he said, we completely understand what you are dealing with. He said, here's what we're going to do. Give me 60 days to work on and solve this problem. He said, what I've learned is that we have the software in the system, and we have the software and the Wi-Fi on the buses. It's just not being used properly, and we had no idea. Because guess what? They're sighted. They're not blind. It doesn't really matter to them, a sighted person, whether they can see that digital sign up there. So Eric and Jan and multiple other people got involved, and 60 days later, they contact me. They say, Pat, not only have we solved the problem that you are dealing with, that every stop is not being announced, but we learned that some of the buses have an external speaker, and that we can program that external speaker to announce the stop. For instance, I remember the first time I heard it, I was on the 8 up on North College by the King Soopers. I walk up to the bus stop, the bus pulls up and it says, you are stepping on bus 8, headed to the Downtown Transit Center. I couldn't believe it. Now I know that most people have no clue that one guy tossed a stone into the city of Fort Collins and asked for help. But one guy did, and the city of Fort Collins listened. I absolutely can tell you I could not believe it. When I went to the ADA Compliance Board and spoke for the first time, I talked about the problem. 60 days later, I go back to the ADA Compliance Board, elated about how Transfort is going to solve the problem. I recently had a friend who rides the bus, and she is sighted. And she said, Pat, I always used to worry that I was going to miss my bus stop because I would have to glance up at the sign and say, oh, there's my stop. She said, the other day I was riding the bus. I had my phone in my face, and she heard her bus stop announced. So why I'm here to say thank you to the city of Fort Collins, thank you to Eric, thank you to Jan, is to say one person can toss a stone into the city of Fort Collins and the ripple effect can happen. Except for the people in this room, nobody riding the bus has a clue as to why their life just got easier. But not only did their life get easier, but my life got a lot easier, and I am in great appreciation for that. Thank you, Jan.
So Eric could not be with us this evening, so Caitlin. Oh yeah, both of you, come on up. He's okay.
On behalf of the city of Fort Collins, and on behalf of me, Pat Malloy, a blind guy, I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you.
Right, I was not totally expecting to accept an award tonight on behalf of Eric and Transfort, but we're deeply honored. I think I can speak on behalf of all of us to say that we're deeply honored to accept this. It's really beautiful. And I want to extend our thanks to everyone here tonight, the Disability Advisory Board. Pat, thank you so much, and Jan, for this meaningful recognition. Accessibility is not just a feature of our service. We believe it's a responsibility and a very deep commitment. We believe that public transit should be a gateway to everyone in the community to be able to access the things that they need on a daily basis. But this award is not just a celebration of progress for us, it's a reminder of that there's always work to be done. We can always improve our system, and we rely on folks like you all to let us know what we're doing right and where we can improve. So I thank you so much for this, and thanks to everyone.
Fantastic. I like hearing good words. I now want to introduce Amber Kelly. She is a Disability Advisory Board Chair, and she will be talking about our first award.
I have the privilege of presenting the Educator Trainer Award for someone who has been teaching about accessibility and forwarding the lives of people with disability in our community. And the person that was supposed to present is Linda Drees, and she could not be here, so these are her beautiful words. I have the privilege of presenting the Education Trainer Award to Romy Tobin. She's been serving the Fort Collins, come on up here. She has been serving Fort Collins in the Colorado disability community for more than 30 years. So many of us have friends, colleagues, family that live with a disability. Those relationships and experiences become our North Star. Romy's North Star was her son, Ben. His life and memory of him is a gift to all of us. Romy made it her goal to make the lives of people with disabilities filled with dignity and inclusion. She started the Northeastern Colorado Parent Center. She was the Assistant Director of Special Education for Poudre School District for 15 years. She served on the board of Foothills Gateway. She has retired, but she continues her mission of improving life for people with disabilities as well as their families. She is now serving as Vice President of L'Arche of Northern Colorado. L'Arche is an intentional community where people with and without disabilities live together and learn from one another. L'Arche is an intentional organization and the first in the Intermountain West. L'Arche is an international organization and the first in the Intermountain West. Romy's insights and knowledge working in the disability field have been invaluable in helping establish this innovative community. Romy, thank you for all you have done. Please accept this award from Fort Collins Disability Advisory Committee.
I think I'm going to stick this up here because I will drop it. Over the years, I've often shared that my best teacher was my son, Ben. Ben was a young man who embraced everything country western. He loved rodeos and western clothes, cowboy boots, cowboy hats, roping, and especially really twangy, classic country music. Ben was a diehard Broncos fan, and he loved to dance, which he did with great abandon any opportunity he had. And he never met a dog that he didn't love. Ben also had Down syndrome, a fact that changed both his life and our family's journey from the moment he was born. As a child living at home, Ben thrived in the community created by our fairly large family, as well as a vibrant neighborhood filled with kids. His years in the Cooter School District offered numerous inclusive activities, and Ben thoroughly enjoyed being with his peers at football, soccer, and basketball games. The adaptive rec program provided by the city of Fort Collins, particularly the monthly dances and unified sports, were some of Ben's favorite opportunities to connect. As Ben reached adulthood, creating community became more challenging. Over time, he lived in various residential options, including host homes and supported apartment programs. In his later years, even while he was living in his own apartment in the community with a live-in service provider, Ben's connection to the broader community became more limited. Proximity did not equal belonging. Ben passed away in May of 2023 after battling leukemia. Can you hear me now? Okay. Ben was 48 years old. But in his final months, he and I were exploring the developing community of L'Arche, northern Colorado. I am convinced that for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities, we must intentionally build community and foster relationships, a task that demands dedication and sustained effort. L'Arche, northern Colorado, is committed to creating an intentional community at Heartside Hill, working in collaboration with Care Housing, Habitat for Humanity, and Heart of the Rockies Christian Church. Our home at Heartside Hill will serve as an anchor for L'Arche, but our broader mission is to develop a community that supports people with developmental disabilities, their friends, and families. We're facing challenging times with government cuts to programs that are already underfunded and affecting the most vulnerable members of our community. It's more important than ever to speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, and also to support the courageous self-advocates who are speaking on behalf of all their friends. Thank you for this award. I'm honored to live in a community that actively supports people with disabilities, fostering inclusive relationships that enrich us all. L'Arche, northern Colorado, welcomes and connects people with and without intellectual disabilities so that together we can all belong. And you are all invited to join us. Thank you.
Okay, the next award we have is for Organization Team Award. And the GAB is honored to be able to present the Disability Advisory Board Organization Team Award to an organization that provides support to our community members and their friends and families who may need mental health support. Statistics show that 23.4% of adults in the US are living with a mental illness. So I'm sure that many of you, if not all of you here, can think of at least one person in your lives that this has touched. NAMI is the organization that the National Alliance for Mental Illness will be receiving that award. If Wayne and Kathy can come too, if you want to come up. NAMI was first conceived when two mothers met over lunch in 1977. They were discussing the similar challenges they shared, raising a child with a serious mental illness. And now there are 600 local affiliates that are bringing resources and education to their communities. I first learned about NAMI of Larimer County from a friend of mine. She was so elated to have found a peer support group, and her mom was in a family class, and they were learning to understand one another and connect. Through the education of NAMI, this family, through the education that NAMI provided, this family was able to enhance their relationship and find community resources. I was so intrigued that I too attended the family support group to learn how I could better support the people in my life. And I went there and I listened to families talk about depending on the kindness of strangers to help their loved ones when they could not. I learned about resources that I could pass on, and I left with a great appreciation that we have people in our community willing to give of their time and support to help make life a little gentler for all families. Wayne Kiefer is the president of NAMI Services in Larimer County, and he and his wife Kathy and a group of stellar volunteers, he made me add that, run a support group and teach classes for family and friends of people living with mental illness. Wayne and Kathy, I'm pleased to award you with the Organization Team Award and thank NAMI of Larimer County for their immeasurable impact on our community.
Thank you for your kind words, Amber. One of the questions that students are asked in our family class is what positive has come out of the experience of having serious mental illness affect your family? I struggled with that a lot. In the end, I think it forced me to slow down and appreciate even the smallest progress. It also helped me see people who have mental illnesses and their associated disabilities as whole people. We all have problems we deal with in our lives, but our setbacks, even severely disabling ones, are not our whole story. No one should be forgotten or ignored. When NAMI started, the official medical position was that parents, more specifically mothers, were to blame. We've come a long way, but have far to go in helping people in recovery and rebuilding their lives after major mental illness episodes. And as Romy noted, we're in some challenging times, but they've been challenging before. And Dr. Joyce Berland wrote the original text for our family-to-family class. And one of Dr. Berland's favorite sayings was, NAMI changes lives while we wait on the world to change. So, thank you.
And so next, I'm sorry, the order of events has been changing. I think that next is the award for the Dorothy Lasley Memorial Award. And I would like to invite up Daisy Montgomery to present that. Daisy Montgomery, Vice Chair of the DAB.
Thank you. How to kick off my shoes. You think you'd know a pair of shoes, and they betray you. I'm so honored to be up here as the vice chair of the DAB. I was up here receiving the Dorothy Lasley Memorial Award in 2023, and I clearly remember the day that I received the call saying that I had won. I was reflecting on that day. I was having a bad day, actually. I was reflecting on my parenting journey. So many people tonight have mentioned how their parents have strengthened them as a disabled person. But many disabled children don't grow up with parents like that. I was not one of those kids. And I was struggling that day that I got that phone call because I am trying to be a great parent to my disabled child. I'm autistic, and my parents had a really hard time accepting that. One memory that really stood out to me is I had a teacher named Mrs. Owens. And Mrs. Owens brought in my parents for a parent-teacher conference when I was in elementary school. And she sat down with them, with me in the room, and she told my parents, "Don't expect anything of Daisy, because she will likely not grow up to be anything. The best you can hope for is that she marries a nice rich man, because she has no future." And parents can add so much to a child's life, their sense of well-being, their sense of hope, and a sense of their abilities to be something wonderful in this world. And no one knows that better than Rose Winkler. Rose Winkler, I remember the time that she told me that her dad was her biggest cheerleader. And he said to her, "Rose, you're going to have to be stronger and smarter than everyone else and be right up there in front," because he knew that disabled people have to try harder than everybody else to make it in this world. Rose has worked tirelessly with the Special Olympics community, the theater community, and she works with students to lift them up, to let them know that even if they had parents just like mine, that doesn't have to dictate their story. But hell, why am I still talking? I am so proud to give Rose Winkler the Dorothy Lasley Memorial Award for her work in the disabled community here in Fort Collins. Rose, please come to the front.
really should be shy, but I'm not. This is a deeply, deeply great honor for me. I've been tirelessly working with international people with disabilities through Special Olympics in the theater and at Pooter. And there's a few people I would like to recognize. I would like to recognize my brother, who is not here with us, and Janet Miller, who is also not here with us. They were a very great influence on my life. And Debbie Dixon Dobson. Some of you may know the name. She work in a box office here at the Lincoln Center, and I've done a lot of theater work with her. And I just want to say thank you to my friends, my Rowdy wellness team for their love and encouragement, and Coach Garter for letting me come up and cause trouble back again at the high school. And thank you again, everybody. This is an honor.
Now what? Amber? Oh, thank you. Look at that. Oh, I'm off the hook. Easiest job ever.
Hello, everyone. My name is Anais, and I'm a Disability Advisory Board member. I also have the honor of being the advocacy manager at the ARC of Larimer County, where I met our next honoree, Taylor Wingington. So Taylor won our film festival last year for the ARC of Larimer County, and I knew I was gonna like him. Number one, he's a Gator fan. Go Gators, go Florida Gators. I also saw, Taylor, your loving devotion to your wife, Tiffany, and how much you clearly and dearly love her. And, yes. And whenever I am around Taylor, I feel his gift. You have a level of determination and conviction, right? Taylor will tell you what he wants, when he's gonna do it, with a level of clarity, right? There's no question about what you want. And so when I'm around Taylor, I feel like I'm more convicted. I feel like I have more determination. So I am just so thankful to know you. I'm so thankful to show your film, Up Syndrome, the one that won the award last year at the ARC. And I want to let you share your words as well. Taylor Wingington.
Thank you so much to come out to this to support me. And also, the biggest struggle of my whole life is to be a joint around the family who I have here. And whole Full Collins ARC. And I just wanted to say thank you very much for everyone to enjoy my movie, and also just want to give a special thanks to my mom and my wife, is because they are the one who was there for thick and thin. And my friend right here from ARC, when I first came in, I met her. I knew she was going to be the right person for me. And I just want to say thank you very much to enjoy my movie. Thank you.
So without further ado, Taylor's film Up Syndrome.
Like in my accent. My name is Taylor Worth Wigginton, and I am the director of this movie, and I like to make movies, and why I wanted to become a documentary movie director is because I just want to help people just to have confidence in themselves, just to tell people I can do those things, but I just need some help. I have a mom who helps me to become a responsible adult.
My name's Maggie Baldwin. I'm Taylor's mom. I'm his best friend, his support person, his taxi driver, taught him how to cook. We're just good people together. Taylor's very independent, energetic, and just wants to learn. The other day, he was talking about something, and he used the word racism, and in the context of what he was saying, the word should have been discrimination. And so we talked about the difference in racism and discrimination. So he always wants to learn what's out there. He wants to be a smarter person. He wants to be able to have more intelligent conversations. He just looks for opportunity. He looks for opportunity where some people just take it as it comes, and that's life. And that's got nothing to do with whether you're special needs or not. That's just people's personality. Taylor looks for opportunity, and he just gets better every day.
My mom she is always the person who I go to the most. Me and my mom has a very, very special bond because I learn from her. All the things where I don't know, it hurts. And I want to learn. The things where I do, I want my mom to know she is my superhero.
My name's Elizabeth Henderson. I also go by Lizzie. I'm a direct support professional. Here in Colorado, more people refer to it as a direct care provider. I support people with disabilities in their day-to-day living activities, so that can look like community interactions or in their home, helping them with chores around the house. And I think in a nutshell, it's actually my job to make them need me less. So for me to enter their lives and increase their independence, it results in them actually needing less of what I do. Taylor is very aware of, I think, his rights and just like his identity and standing up for himself. There is just certain steps to take to adulting that even someone without disabilities who's just young and living on their own the first time might not even know to call a plumber for something. So it's impressive, the level of independence that they have. Sometimes I was like, I kind of questioned how do they need me? How much do they need me? And how much they can achieve without me. Because it's sort of sad when you are this support for someone and then you realize they don't need you.
Tiffany and Taylor met at college. They met at a Valentine's party. And so Tiffany will tell you, I made the first move. I'll tell you that. I made the first move. And so they were together ever since. He watches for her, watches around her, make sure things are around her. And he encourages her so much. He encourages her, you should get a job. You do great at it, And how many times he said, Mom, I just love her so much. It's like he can't stand it. He loves her so much. It's really cool.
Taylor and I were doing little film things. I used to interview him just on my phone. I'd ask him questions and I said, how do you make a marriage work? What is your tip for success for, our friend that's getting married? And he looked into my phone camera and he said, you have to say yes to your partner. You have to learn to say yes to your partner. And Tiffany just sort of chimed in from the other couch and was like, that's right.
They are each other's cheerleaders. I mean, they got it good. They got two really, really good people, the two of them. I mean, one time when they were in Texas, I was still in Texas back then, when they were there, they were out on the patio talking. I was hearing Taylor say,
you know, Tiffany, I wouldn't ever hurt you. I would care for you forever. I wouldn't do anything. I would care for you and protect you. And I'm thinking, I don't think my husband's ever said that to me.
The main purpose why I married her is because she has a cute smile.
Yeah.
She was always there for me. And I'm always there for her. It's because she brings a light into my heart. This is our living room. This is where we sit down, watch TV, and eat most of the time. Yeah. But when we come back in here, when we have family time, we eat at this table. How about these? You want an old one?
Yeah.
We did Special Olympics, and we're proud of it. It's because that's what we do out in the community. And this is what we do when we go out and cook and make sure if we're staying healthy. This is our bedroom. We're trying to get a TV in here too. This part is our TV for now. And why? It's because it has a waterfall. So it's also on Transformers.
Yeah, Transformers.
Our favorite movie.
Yes, about science and history and robots.
Yes, and we love robots.
Yes. Tiffany likes Disney movies. Taylor likes scary movies, and so Disney won out, so they watched a lot of Disney movies. And so something inspired him he wanted to be a director. And so Taylor says, well, I want to make a movie. He met all the right people and they're very devoted to it. He's very excited about it. He's talking to his friends about it. He's got a friend that he has asked, or actually he's going to ask, can we come to your home? Can we come to your job and interview you there? So he's thinking about what kind of things we can do to make this movie better. So he's really into it.
I just want to help people just to have confidence in yourself. You are being yourself, but sometimes it's just really hard to do that. It's because it kind of makes me to feel like I'm not belong. As by giving them not giving me a voice, yes, but also giving them a voice too, for them to be heard. They just want to be treated like who you are. You are being yourself, being a person, and going out in the community and actually do things. They want to feel that way too. They want to be self-confident in themselves too.
Thank you so much, Taylor, for that beautiful film and reminding us to just believe in ourselves. So thank you so much. I believe I am introducing Scott and Sterling next.
How we doing? I'm actually here to, I'd like to invite up Joe Tyner and Terry Schlichting to give them a certificate for their role in the Disability Advisory Board. It's been an honor to work with both Joe and Terry. first got involved with the Disability Advisory Board myself, having met Terry a number of years ago, but I'll get into that in a little bit. So, Joe, it's been an honor working with you. Here's your certificate. Yeah, and I don't know if you have any words you want to say.
Sure. Thank you. I was fortunate to serve on the Disability Advisory Board from, time gets away from me, about 4 years, 2021 to this past April 2025, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be part of the board. It helped me learn a lot and grow a lot and learn more about the community, and while my term is ended, I hope to return to it someday, so thank you for the recognition.
Thank you so much. I joined the Disability Advisory Board, I believe it was 1998. And I have to admit, I joined the Disability Advisory Board because I wanted a community. And I loved Fort Collins, and I liked being at CSU, but I didn't have anyone in my life with shared experiences. So I joined, back then, what was called the Commission on Disability, or the COD, and I obviously stayed for a while. I think it was over 20 years. But it's not about what I gave, it was about what was given to me and this community. And I will always be thankful for that.
Thank you, Terry. There's a little extra I'd like to acknowledge for Terry, kind of speak to kind of how I got to know him and what he's meant to Sterling, my son Sterling, and I. Back in when Sterling was getting ready to look for colleges, we were up in Eagle County, and we had looked around at different universities that might be able to serve Sterling and the challenges he has living with cerebral palsy. And so we did searches and learned about this concept of a disability center, which was very encouraging for us. Sterling went to a couple tours out of state, and we realized that this is something that could open doors and help him get access for his future and getting a college degree. However, we weren't thrilled about the idea of him moving out of state and being far away from home, so we started looking at universities here in Colorado. When I reached out to CSU and was directed to the Student Disability Center, I learned that they had a lot of the common supports in place, such as giving access to getting to classes, note-taking, taking exams with extra time. And so it didn't necessarily impress me that much until I shared a little more detail about Sterling and Sterling's challenges with cerebral palsy. At that point, they kind of shared with me that they had an accommodation specialist who happened to live with cerebral palsy, and my eyes lit up. I was like, who's gonna know better than to be of help and support to Sterling than somebody who knows intrinsically what's involved in the challenges of living with that day to day. Another side note that was kind of a little extra, learning that Terry's from Chicago, and me being from the East Coast, I kind of valued the idea that he might learn a little street smart, you know? I love the story where he told me when he used to go into the city, he'd stick his wallet underneath his wheelchair cushion, which I thought was pretty smart. So, jump ahead, and Sterling has now since graduated CSU last December, and I gotta say, in that Terry's role in our life kind of launched that whole possibility. I've enjoyed over the 6.5 years we've known each other, going out for our lunches, you know, ribbing each other a little bit about whatever. It doesn't take much for us to joke. But Terry has done so much and has been such an inspiration to both Sterling and I and the rest of the community. Getting his bachelor's degree in psychology, working at the Disability Center at the same time, moving on to get his master's degree in education, and now continuing to work with CSU students, teaching classes, taking them abroad. He's going to be taking them to Spain and Croatia this coming year. So he's just talking about the ripple that he has created. I can't thank him enough. And with that spirit in mind, I'd like to, it's an honor for us to present you with the City of Fort Collins Disability Advisory Board's Lifetime Achievement Award with a gift that I think you'll greatly make use of. It's basically a flask that says FOCO DAB 2005 to 2025 Schlichting. And on the back, I would just like to, I hope I can read the back here. Each of the glasses says Terry on it, which is pretty cool. But this thing I think you'll appreciate. We have on the back, it says Lifetime Achievement Award. Quote, "You have to decide who you are and force the world to deal with you, not with its idea of you." That's by a man named James Baldwin, who I believe you're a big fan of. Yes. So it's an honor to present you with this award. Here you go, Terry.
I'm speechless. Wow. Sterling, I couldn't be more proud of the person you've become. I remember the day I met you. You were all over the place. It made me smile because I saw myself in you. And I hope that, you know, I can be a role model to others in the community for whatever they want to do. They don't have to be the next, you know, mayor or president of the United States if they don't want to be, but they should have the opportunity to be if they desire. And that's all I want for others and myself. Thank you so much.
And with that, I'd like to ask Jan to come up for her closing remarks.
We didn't put any liquid in there because we didn't have your ID to prove you're 21. Just so you know.
The beard doesn't count?
It does not.
No, that's fine.
As you can see from everyone that has spoke tonight and everyone that has given us an opportunity to personally get to know them, there's a lot of service in the community. That's what we had talked about. Service in the community, that's where our heart is, right? Our heart. Several people in this room are wearing hearts tonight that were homemade by a community member, and those are to show that they were nominees. So it's hard when you have nominees that are so incredible to decide who gets an award and who does not. So we want to recognize and give a round of applause to all the nominees, please. try not to be emotional. 35 years ago, I stood at the Wheat Ridge Regional Center and worked as a physical therapy assistant when I got to witness ADA law signed into act. And at that time, half my body was like, yes, yes, yes. This is the greatest thing that could ever happen. And the other half of me was like, how? How? Who's going to do this? Who's going, what's all the plans? I took after my father in that he's a veteran, so he's trained me to think a lot, be analytical, to plan things ahead. And so, I would call him up for advice and be like, how do you think this is going to unfold? The great thing that I saw at that time was that dreams were coming true. People were being moved from being institutionalized into homes. There was person-centered care where we were asking individuals what they wanted and what they needed so they could be their best selves. Be their best self, sorry. We were having group homes that were sprouting up in the community where there would be meetings between all these little bees that were making sure that we assign individuals that would be the most successful in a home. There was 12 group homes that immediately opened, and at the time, I did not know that I had a little baby that would be born, who also spearheaded, at the age of 18, more group homes in Grand Junction, Colorado, who went on to become a special education teacher, where he specializes in providing communication for the autistic children who were once deemed as being behavioral issues, and that my son was the behavioral issue teacher. And now they are successful students. So we have come a long way with the ripple effect that we've all talked about tonight, from individuals being able to be recognized for what they can do, who they are in the community, and recognizing them for their greatness. So I stand here humbled and want to say with great gratitude, thanks to all of you. This means the world to more than you know. And please be safe going home. Thank you.
Jan, come back. We're not actually done. I just wanted to thank Jan. I don't think she ever, judging by the emails, I don't think she sleeps, and I think when she is awake, she's thinking about the people she serves.
I just remembered one thing. That's how my mind works. As soon as it ends, it's like, oh no, you forgot. Because this is being recorded, I cannot forget to thank my mother, because my mother's the one that taught me and all of my children that everyone deserves to be treated with respect and kindness. Thank you.